वो है हाउसिंग इश्यूज़ के बारे में। आपने जाना मार्टिन को कई बार हमारे प्रोग्राम के ज़रिए सुना होगा, और जाना मार्टिन आज हमें बता रही है कि पिछले 4 सालों में क्या स्ट्रगल्स के साथ वो गुजरी है, और हमारे जो एनडीपी सरकार है उनके ना कुछ करना भी एक बहुत बड़ी इश्यूज़ पैदा हो रही है। अब जैसा से आपको सभी को पता है कि इलेक्शंस है, और इलेक्शंस के दरमियान ये सारे सवाल पूछा जाएगा एनडीपी सरकार से, और नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के कोई भी सवाल होते हैं इन्हें ज़रूर हम पूछते हैं। जानो, वी हैव एलिजाबेथ ऑन द लाइन विद अस, लेट्स वेलकम हर। हेलो,
Hi,
कैन यू हियर मी प्रॉपर्ली एलिजाबेथ?
I can. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Elizabeth, I know it's been a while we haven't spoken, but what's going on with you at your end? How things are at your end?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of change. There's been some, I think there's progress in what Janna and I and Mr. Jazz Gill have been doing, and we continue to try to push for change and accountability, and especially in our own situations. I've been very involved with Janna's and continuing to be her advocate, and we're hitting roadblock after roadblock, and I don't think it's a mistake. I mean, I really don't. I think that we all know the system is broken, but there's just it doesn't matter whether it's the RTB or whether it's your MLAs or whom it is. It seems to be that there's just the doors being closed constantly, like this is taboo, we don't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, we're seeing it. We just saw the public inquest with the SRO and the Winters Hotel. Mm-hmm. And it's really brought to light exactly what the same situation that Janna, myself, and so many others have been in. And just a lack of accountability, responsibility as to public funds and BC housing in a broken system. Mm-hmm. And, we're not protecting. We continue to say, the NDP government, we need to protect the stock and the affordable housing, but it hasn't happened in years. Mm-hmm. And we're still seeing that. And we've seen a case recently that's, been in the news and continuing to go forward out of Nanaimo, where they have taken the responsibility, and so they know the issues out there, but it just doesn't seem to change. And people are at risk with health, and there is the health and safety, and if you say anything, you seem to get targeted. Mm-hmm. And you seem to get roadblocks at every corner, expecting someone, to be able to do a judicial review on their own because you can't get the help from TRAC, from, anyone, because there's just whether it's a situation of there's not enough people to help and you only have certain time limits. The whole entire system needs to be overhauled. And there definitely needs to be some serious accountability and change with the RTB itself, with class, so basically, and then the evictions alone. And because we've got so many landlords wanting to just, basically they don't care about the fact that they might get, they'll say it's for landlord use. But if they get caught and they really just rent it out at a higher rate, well, they've already been able to pay that fine. They've made that fine back and then some, so they don't really care. Mm-hmm. When they get caught. So it's just a constant revolving circus and a circle, and the people that end up getting evicted cannot get into homes because the NDP government continues to build what they're saying is affordable housing, but it's not. Affordable for who? Mm-hmm. We continue, and it's one thing that we're seeing is that so many people are continuing to say, and we're finding this out now. We say it's a housing crisis. It's
Right.
actually an affordability crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a situation of there needs to be change, and thank goodness we are seeing more and more people come
How
forward.
are you looking for a change here, Alice? But what do you mean by when we are looking for
There,
change?
well, one of the main things is there has to be a change in terms of there has to be there has to be rent control, vacancy control, rent control,
Uh-huh.
where they cannot just, when someone moves out, it needs to be that rent, there's got to be some sort of cap, because all it's doing is continually creating, more affordable or unaffordable housing, as well as the structure itself with BC Housing and the nonprofits. We continue to hear we need non-market housing to solve this crisis and get the homelessness crisis as well. But what we're seeing is the community housing fund with BC Housing, the breakdown of what those buildings are being, what that contract is doing with the nonprofits is only 20% of those units at whether it's a redevelopment, whether it's a new build, only 20% are actually stipulated to be true non-market and for people of the vulnerable and disability. And we're never going to get out of it if we don't change this. And we're continuing to see that so now policy change at the provincial level stepping in. But all that's done now is said, okay, so we can put 3 or 4 or however many units on one property, and however we haven't addressed infrastructure. It's one thing to regulate it at a provincial level and take it away from the local level and say, well, it's because of the public hearings. I think it's very sad that the provincial government has decided to say, do away with public hearings. It's the people that are holding us back from affordable housing. It couldn't be further from the truth. And it's quite disgusting, to be honest with you, to see that happening. The local level has to have the involvement. It's their communities. They know best. The people know best. And to be honest, I think a lot of property owners.
I'm going to say a few words here.
Yeah.
That is very true. The local government should be actually looking after this. But yesterday there was an announcement done at the state, the mayor's state address, that they are building a really huge arena or a stadium here in Surrey. But there was nothing about housing affordability. And recently there's a court document circulating around that the 428 unit townhouse, which was at the third level reading at Surrey, City Hall at Surrey, the mayor actually refused that townhouse development, 428 unit. And looking at all these, I guess the local government is not helping at all regarding this.
Well, I guess I would, without having, seen the meeting in that or seen why they stopped that, it is quite possible because of whether it's, what was proposed to go there. Was it, is it affordable housing? Is it more rentals that they want to put in there? Do they have the infrastructure? Do they have the space in the schools?
Well, through the Supreme Court of British Columbia, that townhouse was refused by the mayor of Surrey, and then it went to the court, and the judge approved of it. Said there is nothing wrong. This unit should be going on in Surrey, but it is just the leaders of our community, and I was quite, shocked that our city councillors and our mayor refused it, because through sources, I've heard that unit is somebody which is from someone whom this current council do not like. So it's their personal view, not about what our people want out here in Surrey.
Well, and that's a huge concern. And I
Yes.
think that we are seeing a lot of that. And, boy,
It's always their
election time is
personal
so
vendetta.
important.
They don't really care about the people who are struggling. Um, there are many people who are on streets now in Surrey after um, all this rent rise and everything. And as you
Mhm.
all know, the federal government had made a big blunder with immigration, and we've got so many people here now in Surrey that it's really hard. They cannot afford the housing, and even a one-bedroom basement suite is going for about $2,000. How can people afford it?
Well, yeah, exactly. And we're continuing to see that, Vancouver and the area surrounding, so
Yes.
BC, and we are the most unaffordable with rents. We have the highest rents.
Yeah.
And it's just, something has to give. There has to be a serious change.
Mm.
And have been just starting. There was on this past Monday a think tank, and talking about, is local democracy the problem of is that the problem for not creating affordable housing? And it was very interesting to hear the speakers, and one of them that was there was Adam Olson, MLA Adam Olson, and so we got to see the provincial as well aspect of it and thoughts, and it is a situation that, like I said, until we start to build true below non-market rentals, we will not get out of this, and it will continue to just be a domino effect and just continue to go and go and go.
Mm-hmm.
And that, because we know, obviously, unaffordable housing creates and pushes the homelessness crisis further in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the proof is there. There is no question at all. And I mean, we saw this come out a year or so ago with the overhaul at BC Housing,
Right.
but nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all. We're continuing to just ignore the Housing Strategy Act, and that was created to try to decrease and eliminate homelessness. But if we don't, and it was stated in the Auditor General's report 2 years ago, not quite, that if we do not create, we're not creating affordable housing. We're not building and agreeing to affordable housing. We're just agreeing to build housing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the housing, the supply is not necessarily, yes, we do need more supply, but we need more supply of non-market, because it's not attainable.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, sharing your views with us. And is there anything else you'd like to talk to before we
I'd like to ask Elizabeth a question. Elizabeth, can you tell the audience what it was like living in Ladner Willows and watching your home and your community around you deteriorate because of lack of maintenance?
It's very sad. And living there for, we must be at 16 years now. And moving into what was exactly a community and full of family and children everywhere, and maintained impeccably. Literally, when I moved in 2000, and I believe it was 2008, and everything was done. And it was just, and all that needed to happen in many of these social housing places as well, that are now having to be redone because they just stopped maintaining them out of nowhere, is literally the roofs and the gutters. Had they maintained those, they would all be fine. And we would have continued. I mean, we're looking at, like Ladner Willows, that is just over 30 years old. We should not be having to redevelop a social housing site that is literally just 30 years old, that that just stopped getting maintained because of it had to have been some sort of government policy change. And so basically, as Janna asked, it was wonderful. As a single mom, moving in with my son, who was, I believe, oh gosh, was he 6 at the time? And, being an only child, these kids are still his siblings, he thinks of them as. It was constantly children running around playing, and if something came up, we were all there for each other. It is very much, Ladner Willows has been referred to more times than not, the next little mountain. And it was because we had built a community like that, and it was a very successful social housing complex where everyone was there for each other, and it was very family, and it's very sad. And to see and look back and see videos of, watch videos of just we would organize different things in the complex, whether it was a 4th of July party, whether it was a Christmas party, and how many Christmas parties I put on in we have the shared social room. And, just the memories that were created. But it's exactly what we need, and especially in a time where there's so much going on and so many unknowns, and it's very scared for kids. It's very scary for adults. And so to have that and, have that, the comfortable, being comfortable, feeling safe and secure, and to watch these families being pushed out, and just like it's still going on. And, the nonprofits, there's no accountability, giving them the funding, and basically, they're registered as charitable nonprofits, and their governance saying that they're helping the, vulnerable and low-income families, yet they're actually pushing them out any way possible and renting to families that make the higher income. And it is sad. And to see these families literally homeless, and it's looking for any reason possible, anything. And it's just, something has to change. It's very unethical, very immoral, and this is what our tax dollars is going to. And how can we be giving, there needs to be a forensic audit with all of the nonprofits and BC Housing. It needs to happen. There needs to be an accountability of how all of these social housing complexes and just like the SROs, how is it that all of them are having to be redeveloped? Where did all the money go? Where did all the public funding go?
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, sharing your views with us. Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. Thank you very much.
It is so sad, Janna.
Yeah, it is.
We here are struggling to get the homeless back into homes. And if you hear all these stories, it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. And I'm unfortunate that our government does not look at it. When BC NDP won the elections, we were thinking that things are going to be better for us and for, average people or any poor people. Things would be better, but it didn't happen.
No, it's actually gotten worse.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਵੇਵਸ ਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਐਡਵਰਟਾਈਜ਼ਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਵਧੀਆ ਡੀਲਸ ਲਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ 604 449 4444 604 449 3333 ਸੁਣਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਵੇਵਸ।
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੇਚੀਦਾ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਮਸਲਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਉਲਝੇ ਹੋਏ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਹਿਦ ਹਨੀਫ ਪਾਸ ਕੰਪਲਿਕੇਟਡ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਤੇ ਰੈਗੂਲੇਟਰੀ ਲਾਅ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਪੁਖਤਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਹੈ। ਅਗਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਤਫਤੀਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਕੋਡ ਦੇ ਅੰਤਰਗਤ ਚਾਰਜ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ, ਡੈਂਟਿਸਟ, ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਸਟ, ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਵਰਗੇ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸਡ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਗਵਰਨਿੰਗ ਬਾਡੀ ਤੋਂ ਡਿਸਪਲਿਨਰੀ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਨੈਗਲੀਜੈਂਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿਕਟਮ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਹਨੀਫ ਲਿਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਹਿਦ ਹਨੀਫ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604 626 3144।
For all your legal criminal matters, call Shahid Hanif of Hanif Litigation, 604-626-3144.
ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਸਰੀ ਵੈਜੀ ਪੀਜ਼ਾ ਤੇ ਕਰੀ ਹਾਊਸ 100% ਪਿਓਰ ਵੈਜੀਟੇਰੀਅਨ ਪੀਜ਼ਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਸਵਾਦ ਮੰਨਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604 593 1110 ਯੂਨਿਟ ਨੰਬਰ 106 8077 ਕਿੰਗ ਜੋਰਜ ਬੁਲੇਵਾਰਡ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਅਦਰਕ ਧਨੀਆ ਵਾਲਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਪੀਜ਼ਾ, ਫਰਾਈਆਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਪੀਜ਼ਾ, ਫ੍ਰੈਂਚ ਵੈਟ ਬ੍ਰੈਡ ਪੀਜ਼ਾ, ਵੈਜੀਟੇਰੀਅਨ ਸੁਪਰੀਮ ਅਦਰਕ ਧਨੀਆ ਵਾਲਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਟਾਈਲ ਪੀਜ਼ਾ, 3 ਲਾਰਜ ਪੀਜ਼ੇ ਆਰਡਰ ਕਰੋ ਤਾਂ 1 ਮੀਡੀਅਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪੀਜ਼ਾ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਲਓ ਜੀ ਫ੍ਰੀ। ਸਵੇਰੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਰਾਤ ਦੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਹਫਤੇ ਦੇ 7 ਦਿਨ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਦੇ ਨੇ। ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਸਰੀ ਵੈਜੀ Pizza and Curry House 604-593-1110. ਰੰਗੋਲੀ ਕੇਟਰਿੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਸਵੀਟਸ ਵਿਆਹ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਮੰਦਰ ਪਾਰਕ ਜਾਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਇਵੈਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਕੇਟਰਿੰਗ ਸਾਰੇ BC ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਧਰੇ ਵੀ ਕਰਵਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604 614 3536 604 576 0525। ਵਧੀਆ ਖਾਣਾ, ਵਧੀਆ ਸਰਵਿਸ, ਵਧੀਆ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ, यूनीफॉर्म वाले वेटर, खुला मैन्यू, रीजनेबल रेट्स, घर आके तंदूर ला के केटरिंग करते हैं, ब्याह की भाजी भी बनाते हैं। बैठ के खाना खाओ, टेक आउट ऑर्डर करो उबर स्किप या डोर डैश राही 17665 A एवेन्यू।
खाओ पियो ऐश करो मित्रों। सारे समर फंक्शंस बुकिंग ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਰੰਗੋਲੀ ਕੇਟਰਿੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਸਵੀਟਸ 604-614-3536 604-576-0525 रंगोली केटरिंग एंड स्वीट्स।
ओहो रात ਦੇ 2 ਵੱਜ ਗਏ, ਭੁੱਖ ਨਾਲ ਢਿੱਡ 'ਚ ਚੂਹੇ ਦੌੜਦੇ ਨੇ।
ਚੱਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਖਿਲਾ ਪਲਾ ਦਿੰਨੇ ਆ। ਪਾਇਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਸੈਂਟਰ 'ਚ ਪਾਇਲ ਚਾਟ ਹਾਊਸ 24 ਆਵਰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸਵੇਰੇ 4 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਰੌਂਠਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਣੋ ਆਨੰਦ। ਬਾਕੀ 24 ਘੰਟੇ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਤੰਦੂਰੀ ਵੈਜ ਨਾਨ ਵੈਜ ਖਾਣੇ ਆਰਡਰ ਕਰੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਖਾਓ। 604-596-1990।
ਪਾਇਲ ਚਾਟ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਉਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਬਿੱਟੂ ਲਈ ਗੋਟ ਮੀਟ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ।
ਹੋਰ ਤਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਪਾਰਟ ਤੇ 100 ਬੰਦੇ ਤੱਕ ਦੀ ਕੇਟਰਿੰਗ ਘਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੰਦੂਰ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਰੋ ਕੇਟਰਿੰਗ ਬੁੱਕ 604-518-7444 ਪਾਇਲ ਚਾਟ ਹਾਊਸ। ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਮਾਮਲੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਹੀ ਸਲਾਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹਿੱਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੈਸਲੇ ਕਰਵਾਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਲਈ ਨਿਊ ਵਰਲਡ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਦੇ ਬਲਵਿੰਦਰ ਜੀਤ ਬਾਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604-572-4000। ਇਹ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟੈਂਟ ਤੇ ICCRC ਦੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਨੇ ਔਰ 2011 ਤੋਂ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਹਰ ਮਸਲੇ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604-575-8000 ਯੂਨਿਟ ਨੰਬਰ 403 83 18 120 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਸਰੀ ਜਾਂ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰੋ www.newworldcanada.ca।
ਕੱਕਾ ਖੱਕਾ ਗੱਗਾ ਖੱਗਾ ਘਰ। ਪਾਪਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਘਰ ਕਦੋਂ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ?
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਘਰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਦੇਣਾ ਹੈ?
ਉਹ ਪੁੱਤਰਾ ਹੁਣ ਗੱਲ ਬਣ ਗਈ। ਮੈਂ ਪਲੈਨਟ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਰਿਐਲਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਢੁੱਡੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਲਈ ਹੈ। ਵਧੀਆ ਡੀਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਦੇਣਗੇ। ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਅਤੇ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਸਿਰਦਰਦੀ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਬਚਾਂਗੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ 15 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪਾਸ ਲੈਂਗਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 1600 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 2100 ਸਕੁਅਰ ਫੁੱਟ ਬਣੇ ਟਾਊਨ ਹੋਮ ਵੀਲ ਚੇਅਰ ਐਕਸੈਸਿਬਲ ਹਨ। ਚਾਹੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐਲੀਵੇਟਰ ਵੀ ਲਗਵਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਫਰਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੋਮ ਖਰੀਦਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰੋ। ਰੀਅਲ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਸਟ ਡੀਲ ਲੈਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਢੁੱਡੀਕੇ 604-716-8570 604-716-8570।
ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਐਂਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ PR ਲਈ ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਨਵਨੀਤ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604-597-1119 ਤੇ। BC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ PNP ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਸਕੈਚੁਅਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ SINP ਦੇ ਲਈ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ। ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ ਐਪਲੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਫਾਈਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ। ਸਟੱਡੀ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ, ਵਰਕ ਪਰਮਿਟ, ਮੈਰਿਜ, LMIA ਐਪਲੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ, ਓਨਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਐਪਲੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ, ਕੇਅਰ ਗਿਵਰ ਨੈਨੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਆਈਡੀਆ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਸਰੀ ਕਲੋਨਾ ਤੇ ਰਜ਼ਾਈਨਾ ਵਿਖੇ ਨੇ। ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਯਾਰਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਵਿਖੇ ਯੂਨਿਟ ਨੰਬਰ 209-7928-128 ਸਟਰੀਟ 604-597-1119 ਆਈਡੀਆ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ। ਘਰ ਖਰੀਦਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਘਰ ਵੇਚਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਫਾਈਨ ਪ੍ਰਿੰਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਨਾ ਤੇ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਅਤਿਅੰਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ।
ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਔਰ ਸਿਰਫ ਭਰੋਸੇਮੰਦ ਰੀਅਲਟਰ ਹੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਘਰ ਵੇਚਣ ਦਾ ਮਨ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾਂ ਘਰ ਖਰੀਦਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਸਹੀ ਤੇ ਭਰੋਸੇਯੋਗ ਸਲਾਹ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ 30 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਰੱਖਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਰੀਅਲਟਰ ਕੁਲਜੀਤ ਕੌਰ ਨੂੰ SRS Panorama Realty 604-767-9992 604-767-9992 कुलजीत कौर
ਘਰ ਦਾ ਪਲਾਨ ਤੇ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਟੂਟੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਟੱਬ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਲੈਣੇ ਆ ਸ਼ੇਰਿਆ
ਸਰਦਾਰ ਨਾਰਥ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਹੈ HD ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਬਿਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਨੀ
ਕਮਾ ਓਏ ਫੋਨ 6042319592
ਹੁਣੇ ਲਓ ਸਰਦਾਰ 604-231-9592
ਆਪਣੇ ਡ੍ਰੀਮ ਹਾਊਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਥਰੂਮ ਅਤੇ ਕਿਚਨ ਦੀ ਯੂਨੀਕ ਲੁੱਕ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਗੇੜਾ HTA ਦੇ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਸਿੰਪਸਨ ਅਤੇ ਬ੍ਰਿਜਪੋਰਟ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨਰ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਮਾरो कॉल HTA 6042319592
जय दोस्तों, आप सुन रहे हैं www.live.ca। आज का प्रोग्राम आप तक पहुंचा रहे टेस्ट ऑफ लाहौर। कहते टॉक ऑफ द टाउन है और ये बेस्ट टेस्ट लाहौर के खानों का आप तक पहुंचाते हैं सरी में। 96 एवेन्यू और स्कॉट रोड के कॉर्नर पर है, 9526 स्ट्रीट पर। ज़्यादा जानकारी के लिए कॉल कीजिए 604-498-6555। वीकेंड बफे आप यहाँ से 11 बजे से लेकर 3 बजे के दरमियान खा सकते हैं। चना मसाला, आलू दे सब्जी, गोट पाया, बीफ निहारी, सूजी का हलवा, नान, पूड़ी, चाय सिर्फ 14.99 यानी 14.99। टेस्ट ऑफ लाहौर आज का प्रोग्राम आप तक पहुँचा रहे हैं। ब्लैक एंड वाइट आउटर बॉडी कहते हैं कि आपके गाड़ियों का कोई इश्यू आ गया है, मरम्मत हो गई है, आप नहीं चाहते थे लेकिन चलो हो जाता है ये सारा कुछ, तो इन केस ऑफ ऑल एक्सीडेंट आप इन्हें कॉल कर सकते हैं। आपकी गाड़ी को नए तरीके से नए रूप दे देंगे। ब्लैक एंड वाइट आउटर बॉडी ये प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज आपको देते हैं, परफेक्ट कलर मैचिंग करते हैं। कस्टमर सर्विसेज का इनका आई शुड से आई विल गिव 200%। आपका अगर प्राइवेट क्लेम है या ICBC क्लेम है, कुछ सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बस फ़ोन उठाओ और नंबर घुमाओ पुष्मिंदर गुरम का 604-503-0988। योर नंबर 16B 7823 132nd स्ट्रीट सरी में है। ब्लैक एंड वाइट आउटर बॉडी आज का ये प्रोग्राम आप तक पहुँचा रहे ग्रेट ब्लाइंड्स, बेस्ट प्लेस अगर आपके लिए मॉडर्न डिज़ाइंस का ब्लाइंड्स आप चाहते हो, बेस्ट लार्जेस्ट कलेक्शन आपके शोरूम में दिखाएंगे ग्रेट ब्लाइंड्स वाले। लोअर मेनलैंड में इनका शोरूम है, यूनिट नंबर 14 1348 78th एवेन्यू 78th एवेन्यू पर है ये ग्रेट ब्लाइंड्स। ज़्यादा जानकारी के लिए 604-503-7007। अगर आप वाशिंगटन USA में हैं तो आप 3704 ओबन वे, ओबन वाशिंगटन स्टेट पे कॉल कर सकते हो 253-321-7007 या विजिट कीजिए info@greatblindscanada.com। आपके घरों को बहुत ही खूबसूरत बना देंगे ग्रेट ब्लाइंड्स वाले अपने पर्दे लगाकर। तो ये थे आज के प्रोग्राम के स्पॉन्सर ग्रेट ब्लाइंड्स। आप सुन रहे www.mwlive.ca और आज हमारे साथ प्रोग्राम में शामिल है जाना मार्टिन, जो हाउसिंग इश्यूज़ के बारे में बात कर रही है और जो बता रही है कि किस तरह से जाना मार्टिन और उनके और जानने वाले हमारे ये नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है, जो सरकारी है, जो हम लोगों के टैक्स पेयर्स के डॉलर्स के साथ चलते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, वहाँ से किस तरह से ट्रीटमेंट इन्हें दिया जाता है। जाना, आई नो दैट इट्स वेरी सैड व्हाट यू आर गोइंग थ्रू, बट यू हैव मेड सम डिफरेंसेस। डू यू थिंक NDP government, who are supposed to help us all, they took our votes claiming that they were the party for average and people who have less income, lower income people, but they haven't shown that. Do you think before the election 2024 in October, will they listen to any one of you?
Absolutely not. My apologies, but absolutely not. They've had 4 years to listen to me and to other housing advocates and to tenants, and they have done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. What's happened is we've actually had tenants who have been living in mold and mice infestations die. So instead of helping, and all it takes for them is a signature. That's all it takes is a signature. We've actually had people die. We've had people die in the Winters Hotel. We've had people die in Sally and Cougar Creek buildings. And those are just the ones that I personally know of. How many more people have died because of the failed housing policies? How many more people have died because these not-for-profits and BC Housing have allowed these buildings to deteriorate so badly that they are unsafe and unhealthy for people to live in? No one should have died in the Winters Hotel. That's absolutely appalling and disgusting and cruel and inhumane that people have died in these buildings and nobody's held accountable. Do you know what they do? What I've seen, what they do is they have parties for each other and they have galas and they have photo ops. What are they doing to actually govern the people? We pay their salaries, we are their bosses, and yet they live quite well. They live in nice buildings, and we live in poverty or on the streets, or we can't get a family doctor. How is it that they're allowed to do that with our money and we can't even live in a mold-free home? Why is it that they come to unceded Coast Salish territory and deny our Indigenous people the right to mold-free homes or to homes at all? Why do we have such a huge homeless crisis? And they do their photo ops and it's, oh, this is great, we're doing a great job, look at us, look at us. Do they actually go and take a walk around and talk to the people that they have allowed to live on the streets? Have they learned their stories? Have they gotten to talk to them? I talked to one gentleman, he's been outside for 20 years. 20 years of his life has been sleeping underneath a bridge. And he is a lovely gentleman. He found a lady's purse and he returned it to her with all the money in it, everything in it intact. He could have taken that, he could have done whatever he wanted with it, but he didn't. He's a lovely, lovely gentleman. And all the homeless people that I've talked to, and I talked to a lot of them, are really lovely people. They all have their own stories. They're all somebody's child. Some of them are parents. Some of them are children, aunties, uncles, mothers, fathers, professionals, nurses, social workers, people that had really good careers that cannot find a job. How many nurses and medical professionals were let go by this government after being the heroes during the pandemic, and once they were finished with them, they discarded them and said, no, we don't need you anymore? How many of those people have either ended up on the streets or without work? What has the government done for the people on both sides? Because both sides are accountable.
Yes.
It's not just the NDP, it's the Liberals, it's the Green Party, it's everybody. They're all accountable to us citizens, and they're not holding themselves accountable. What they're doing is throwing parties and banquets and galas and shaking other people's hands, but they're not actually out on the streets. Why is the mayor of Vancouver taking away the things that the people have on the streets, the very little things like their tent in a cold snap? What is that doing? Why? Why would you take the few items that someone has that means anything to them and throw them in the garbage? And I understand exactly what that's like because that's what I'm going through right now. And on Wednesday, they have a right to throw my belongings in the garbage because I got no justice from the RTB. The Human Rights Tribunal's years backed up. I've gone to MLAs, the Premier, the Minister of Housing, several Ministers of Housing, and none of them have done anything. Nothing. And yet they still fund these organizations to commit this cruelty, to commit these human rights violations, to commit these Canadian Charter rights and freedoms violations. I should not have to sign my heirs' rights away to have mold-free belongings. And it's not mold that I cause, it's mold that they cause, and it's systemic. I spoke to a lawyer the other day, and he said, I know all about that property management company. He goes, I have no doubt that there was mold in your unit. He had no doubt because their reputation is so bad that so many people know about it, but because they are funded by BC Housing, because they're funded by the government, because the vice president of the board of directors is a member of the federal Liberal Party, nobody's willing to stand up and say, hey, this isn't right. So many people. Fraserlands, right now as we speak, millions of dollars have been spent going through retrofitting while these tenants are living in those units. They have had mold exposed to them instead of being moved into a separate unit while they go and remove all this stuff. They have let the tenants live in that. There's one tenant, they removed her toilet and it was all black against the wall of mold. And she was there inhaling all that mold and mycotoxins. And another tenant, her daughter was there because she's homeschooled every day while they were removing moldy windows with her in the house. And the mold is back. She went through retrofitting hell, and it's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare, and it should never be done with people living in the houses, and the mold is back. So why didn't they do a proper job, a professional job, to ensure that the mold didn't come back? Because they're still doing retrofitting on Fraserlands as we speak at this minute. Wow. And the mold is already back in one tenant's that I've spoken to unit. And she sent pictures. I've seen the pictures. Like, that's disgusting. Money is being poured into these retrofittings just to have the mold come back within months. Mm-hmm. Why are they doing it that way? Why are they being allowed to do it that way? And not only are they putting the tenants' health in jeopardy, they're putting the construction workers' health in jeopardy. They're putting their tenants, their staff, delivery drivers, city workers, anybody that comes in contact with that mold in those buildings, they're putting their lives and their health in jeopardy.
Is there any city bylaw to look into?
You can go to city bylaw and they don't do anything. It doesn't matter what city you're in. Delta knew what was going on with Ladner Willows for years. Let it happen. Bylaw department was involved. Let it happen. I went to Surrey bylaw. They came out, looked around, looked at the mold, looked at the fire that had happened on the light switch. Nothing happened. No response from any of the emails I sent them. No follow-ups. Nothing. Fraser Health, nothing. Surrey Public Health, nothing. Vancouver Coastal Health, nothing. The Premier, nothing. The Minister of Housing, all of them since this started for me, nothing. My MLA, nothing. My current MLA, nothing. Mike Farmer, nothing. Benita Zerillo, nothing. Trevor Halford, nothing. I could keep going. Selena Robinson, nothing. No help. Zero help from any of them. The only one that helped was MLA Ian Payton, and he was kind enough to write a letter on behalf of Red Door tenants. He's the only one. And Jagmeet Singh's CA Donalda made a phone call on my behalf. That's it. That is all the help that I've been given on any level of government in over 4 years. That's it. Those two, that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else.
So shocking that a party who is actually anti current government, who said they will support low-income people, they are the ones who got all the votes, and many of the unions were quite connected with them, and this is what we have to go through.
And I'm a former union member. I'm a professional. I am educated, and I know my rights and my human rights, and they are being violated every single day. Every single day. To deny me the exact same service that they have provided other people is a human rights violation. And to ask me to sign my heirs' rights away when no one else has is a violation. Why do I have to sign my heirs' rights away? And they will not tell me why. They just insist, if you don't sign this contract that states that you're going to sign your heirs' rights away, you will withdraw your human rights case, you will agree never to sue us, to have your heirs never to sue us, we'll do it for you. And did other people have to sign that? No. Nobody. Wow. But they're insisting that I do it. If not, they're going to junk my stuff. The level of cruelty and depravity is appalling. And I seem strong, but what other people don't see is me curled up on a ball on the floor, bawling my eyes out, because I feel like I failed my children. Because I fled domestic violence and moved into this building thinking I was giving them a safe, healthy, happy home and a new start. And now they've had strangers go into that home and go through their underwear drawer, through their personal belongings, not even give us the decency to be there while they went through our stuff, pack it all up, put it in storage that we can't even access because it's not even anywhere near us, and it's in big containers that you need to call in before you can even go see it. And now they're like, well, if you don't sign your heirs' rights away and shut up, we're going to throw it all out. And that's pretty much what it is. You shut up, you sign this, you shut up, we'll decontaminate your stuff. If not, we're throwing it in the garbage. That's medical equipment, that's furniture, that's our treasured belongings, our baby books, their baby clothes, their grad photos, their yearbooks, that's my dead parents' belongings. That's everything that means anything to us. They're going to throw it in the garbage. Indigenous drums. We're in a time of colonialism, and it's like, no, we talk about how we're doing right by Indigenous people and people of color. I am that. I'm Indigenous. I'm a person of color. My kids are Indigenous people of color, and they're Jewish. And they're going to throw their stuff out, their sacred cultural heritage belongings, in the garbage. in the garbage. And yet they go and they have these photo shoots and they say, oh, look what we're doing. We're trying to make amends. They're not. They're absolutely not. It's all bread and circuses, and they know it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really sad that the government is actually not listening to us. Well, we'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
Sorry, Janna, I got a little.
बिरयानी गोट कढ़ाई निहारी चिकन कढ़ाई बाबा की बीफ कबाब कढ़ाई
ਕਿਹੜਾ ਖਾਣ ਪੀਣ ਦਾ ਮੰਤਰ ਪੜ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ
ਇਹ ਮੰਤਰ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਫ ਚਿਕਨ ਦੇ ਡਿਸ਼ਸ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਚਾਹੇ वो बिरयानी हो या फिर गोट कढ़ाई कल दे डिनर भूल नहीं सकती अभी भी हाथों से खुशबू नहीं जा रही
ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਫ ਚਿਕਨ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਪੀ ਗ੍ਰਿਲਡ ਚਿਕਨ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੰਦੂਰੀ ਚਿਕਨ ਵਿੰਗਸ 버ਗਰ ਪੈਰੀ ਪੈਰੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸਵਾਦ ਨੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ 8223 120th ਸਟਰੀਟ ਡਲਟ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ 2364661119
ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਫ ਚਿਕਨ ਦੀ ਬਿਰਿਆਨੀ ਖਾਓਗੇ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਬਿਰਿਆਨੀ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਫ ਚਿਕਨ ਹਾਊਸ ਵਾਰਮਿੰਗ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਿਗਾਹ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਬਲਾਈਂਡਸ ਵਾਲੀ ਸੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਪਤਾ ਇਹ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਸਜਾਵਟ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਬਲਾਈਂਡਸ ਦਾ ਕਮਾਲ ਹੈ
ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਦੇ ਮਾਡਰਨ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਡੀ ਸਿਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਖਣ ਤੇ ਖਰੀਦਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਇਕਲੌਤੇ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਯੂਰ ਨੰਬਰ 14 13478 78th ਐਵਨਿਊ 6045037007 ਤੇ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਬਲਾਈਂਡ ਦੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਵਾਲੇ ਸ਼ੋਰੂਮ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ 3705 ਅਵਰਨ ਵੇ ਅਵਰਨ ਵਾਸ਼ਿੰਗਟਨ 2533217007 ਜਾਂ greatblindscanada.com ਤੇ ਕਰੋ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ
ਘਰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਲੋ ਪਰਦਾ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਬਲਾਈਂਡਸ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਲਵਾਓ
ਭਰੋਸੇਯੋਗ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਲਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਵਿਟਾਮਿਨ ਸਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹਰਬਲ ਮੈਡੀਸਨ ਵਾਕਰ ਵੀਲਚੇਅਰ ਬ੍ਰੈਸਟ ਪੰਪ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਕਸਿਮਮ ਕਵਰੇਜ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਲਕਿ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਡਿਲੀਵਰੀ ਤੇ ਬਲਿਸਟਰ ਪੈਕ ਵੀ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਦਵਾਈਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤਾਂ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ 7 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੇ 8 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਤਿੰਨੋਂ ਲੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ 8925 ਸਕਾਟ ਰੋਡ ਡੈਲਟਾ 6045990211 128th ਸਟਰੀਟ ਐਂਡ 96th ਐਵਨਿਊ 6045811900 1539 ਜੌਨਸਨ ਰੋਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ
ਸ਼ੁਕਰ ਹੈ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਨਵੀਂ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਖੁੱਲ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਮੈਂ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣੀ ਆ
ਲੈ ਗੋਲੀ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਤੇ ਗਹਿਣੇ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਓ ਚਿੰਤਾ ਮੁਕਤ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮਨਪਸੰਦ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਹੁਣ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਗੜ 12743 80th ਐਵਨਿਊ ਨਵੀਂ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਖੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਹੈ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਬਾਰੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਔਰ ਮਿਸਿਸ ਸੂਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ 604-572-5553 ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ
ਰੋਜ਼ਾਨਾ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੌਲਟ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਅਸੌਲਟ ਥੈਫਟ ਡਰਾਈਵਿੰਗ ਆਫੈਂਸਸ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਬੜੇ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀਜ਼ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ
ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਗਊਮਾਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਚਾਲਬਾਜ਼ ਲੋਕ ਸਾਊ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਫਸਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਚਾਰजेस ਲਗਵਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ
ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਚਾਰजेस ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਵਕੀਲ ਜੋ 4 ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ BC ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਮੈਨੀਟੋਬਾ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁੰਝਲਦਾਰ ਕੇਸਸ ਜਿੱਤੇ ਹਨ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਲਾਇਰ ਗਗਨ ਨਾਹਲ
ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਕੇਸ ਜਿੱਤਣ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਹਰ ਵਕੀਲ ਗਗਨ ਨਾਹਲ ਨੂੰ 604-527 4769 6625 152 A ਸਟਰੀਟ ਸਰੀ
For all criminal charges, call Gagan Nahal 604-527-4769.
ਹੈਲੋ
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਹੋ
ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਆ ਯਾਰ ਦੱਸ
ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਡੀ ਦਾ ਨਾ 132 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਤੇ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਕੋਲੀਜਨ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਨਾਲੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਬਲੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ
ਦੇਖ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਬਚਾ ਕਰਤਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਨਾਲੇ ਜੋ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਬਲੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਲਾਜ਼ਮੀ ਬਲੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਆਟੋ ਬੋਡੀ ਦਾ ਸਾਈਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਗੱਡੀ ਬਲੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਆਟੋ ਬੋਡੀ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਜਾ ਬਲੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਆਟੋ ਬੋਡੀ ICBC ਅਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟਡ ਅਤੇ ਫੁੱਲ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਆਟੋ ਬੋਡੀ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਹੈ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ 7823 132 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਲ 6045030988 ਬਲੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਵਾਈਟ ਆਟੋ ਬੋਡੀ
कल सारे बड़े खुश सी
होना क्यों नहीं खुश पेट जो उनके खुश थे बानीज कढ़ाई वाला के डिशेस के साथ बेस्ट कढ़ाई डिशेस ओनली एट बानीज कढ़ाई वाला लाहौरी कढ़ाई अचारी कढ़ाई कबाब कढ़ाई
बस बस हुण नहीं रह जांदा बार्नीज कढ़ाई वाला है किथे
अपने सरी पिंड ते 8140 स्ट्रीट second location 12889 84th avenue Surrey phone number 7785654416 चिकन लैम वेज कढ़ाई नॉन वेज करी हर किस्म के एपेटाइजर्स नान स्टफ्ड चिकन और लैम नान बिरयानी इनके डिशेस का क्या कहना एक बार ट्राई करोगे बानीज कढ़ाई वाला कभी नहीं भूलोगे आप खुश बानीज कढ़ाई वाला खुश
नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सुन रहे हैं www.mwlive.ca। हमारे पास 5 मिनट्स है जिसमें हम आज बातचीत कर रहे हैं किस तरह से हाउसिंग क्राइसिस जो है, जी हाँ, किस तरह से हाउसिंग क्राइसिस है उसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं। और इसके साथ साथ लोग जो आम लोग, लोअर इनकम वाले लोग हैं जो, वो किस तरह से सफ़र कर रहे हैं। और जाना मार्टिन कोई नया नहीं है, शी इज़ बीन इन आवर प्रोग्राम पिछले साल से, और अपने बारे में बता रही है कि किस तरह से वो स्ट्रगल कर रही है, फाइट कर रही है अपने बिलोंगिंग्स के लिए। और आज भी उसका जो फाइट है वो वहीं पर खड़ा है, चाहे बेशक उन्होंने कितने MLAs को कोशिश की इस बारे में बात करके कुछ हासिल करने के लिए, लेकिन उनका कहना है कि किसी ने उसकी मदद नहीं की एक्सेप्ट जगमीत सिंह के दफ्तर में जो स्टाफ है, उन्होंने उसे हेल्प की। इसके अलावा जो हेल्प है वो कहीं और से नहीं मिला इन्हें। ये बहुत ही अजीब बात है। और जिस तरह से आप लोगों को पता है कि हमारे शहर के मेयर 428 हाउसिंग यूनिट्स को रिफ्यूज़ कर दिया 3rd रीडिंग पर, और वो उन्हें कोर्ट लेकर गए, ब्रिटिश कोलंबिया कोर्ट से। ये कहा गया है, ये बताया गया है कि ऑर्डर आई है कि वो जो यूनिट्स है वो बनना चाहिए था शहर में। ये मेयर और काउंसिल की गलती है, but nobody listens. Before we wrap up the program, Janna, any other messages you would like to give either to the public out there or to the non-profit organizations or to the government?
I do actually.
Uh-huh.
February 21st at 1 p.m. If you dispose of my belongings, I will go after you for compensation any way I possibly can, whether it be through the human rights, the BC Supreme Court, Supreme Court of Canada. I will go after you for compensation. And I would like to know who the group of men were that met to decide the R2B outcome of my hearing. I would really appreciate if David or someone could reach out to me and let me know who that group was, and why over 130 pieces of evidence was decided that it was not enough evidence. 130 pieces of evidence. And they decided that was not enough evidence.
Wow. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Janna, for
having
coming
me.
out. Thank you. दोस्तों, अब हम आपसे इजाज़त चाहेंगे. Until next time, goodbye and be safe.
Bye-bye. Thank you.